All right, cool. We are live.
Yo.
Fuck yeah. We got everyone tonight. Everyone.
Yeah, we got a party.
And more.
Got a few newbies jumping on, saying hello. All right. Should I kick things off?
Please do it.
Please do.
Doing socials and tech in the back, so.
Oh yeah, I'll...
easy. All right, guys. I'm going to start this off with a quick segment called "Buy My Bags." You have a very short window to go and buy the bags that need to be pumped.
This is the part where he just begs you to buy any runes whatsoever. Please, everyone listening, please buy runes.
You know what's actually funny? I listened to 4 podcasts today. I listened to Steady Lads, Ben and Bergs, listened to 2 other macro ones, and they were all talking about 2025 trends into the new year, and none of them mentioned anything remotely to do with Bitcoin DeFi or Bitcoin Layer 2s or runes. And I was like, I'm going to kill myself. Like, this is no one smart is on the side of Swiss spending on these things. 14 years too early, maybe. But tonight we do have a couple of guests. We have Miffy, who is currently in the process of being sued by the Miffy cartoon for stealing name and likableness with his Twitter account. And we also have this legendary Scott Hill, who I've spoken to on Twitter a couple of times across various different segments of crypto, who I generally respect and has a lot of cool opinions. So it was a good opportunity to get Scott on and have a chat about what he's looking at, what he's bullish on, and keen to pick his brain about a few things. So yeah, those are our guests. We've got our usual suspects, such as 1L, Tom, Mitchell Hill, Crypto Journo, worst person alive, and
who the fuck
legendary
is that guy?
blockchain god 69, aka Sticks. So should be a good one.
Fucking A. Good bit to talk about. I feel like a lot has happened in like the last time since I was on the pod.
True.
Yeah, shit. A lot has happened.
Yeah, where do we even start?
Should we kick things off with a couple of intros from our guests, and then we'll get into
absolutely
the mistakes of what we've made in 2024, I guess, biggest fumbles. Miffy, do you want to kick things off and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into crypto? I think your story is actually pretty cool, so feel free to spend some time on that.
Yeah, my story's pretty alright. I'm Miffy. I'm pretty fucking new, like I'm pretty fucking green. I'm a first cycler, so still like figuring out all the emotions and figuring out all the potholes and stuff. I don't know if you guys know Nap Enjoyer, but he's working with me I'm working with him on the IMF, which is like a meme coin borrow lend. And he essentially he came into the bar that I was working at probably the beginning of, or like midway through last year, and he's come into the bar and he's wearing like thongs and a ratty shirt and a classical crypto bro like outfit, and he walks into the bar and he's like just smashing cocktails at like 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. So I had to go up to him. I was like, "Oh yeah, bro, it's like you're either like broke and you're gonna pull a runner, or you're really rich." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm the latter." So we just started talking about what he does, and push comes to shove, he was just like, "You're asking all the right questions. Do you want to come in and work on the IMF with us?" And that's where we're at now.
Nice. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what are you doing as an intern for the International Meme Fund? What does that look like for you?
Dude, I hate it when people ask me this question, because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, like, so what does your actual day-to-day look like?" Bro, my day-to-day looks like shit posting and posting memes. That's it.
Sounds fucking brilliant.
Dude, it's great. I'm living my fucking life up.
Sick. Nice, dude, for anyone who's listening, what's the go with IMF? Can you explain what's going on there?
Yeah, bro. So it's like, how do you have like all these meme coin millionaires, meme coin billionaires, and when reality if one of them fucking sells, the entire price is going to tank, and all these millionaires are going to turn into 1 millionaire, and a lot of sad crypto bros. You unlock borrow against it. We essentially are building this platform that allows people to permissionlessly open, borrow, lend markets on any meme token using a lot of mechanics that I don't fully understand, but it works and it's great. By IMF.
Fuck yeah. Good chill, strong chill. I've recently joined the crew of sad crypto bros who happen to be on the other side of millionaires selling fuckloads of coins. So this is good. I need to check out IMF.
See, I knew it would resonate.
Maybe a month ago I would have been like, this fucking guy, but now I'm like, yeah, no, sure. How do I get in?
Right here, right.
Yeah. Wait. This can help. Please save me. Okay, sick. Scott, did you want to chat about your stuff? We've actually met IRL, and Scott's the fucking goat. So yeah.
Thanks for the rev up, Tom. So I'm the head of research at the Breakdown with NLW, which was a very popular podcast for the last cycle, slightly less popular now, but you might have seen it on the front page of CoinDesk. We were the flagship CoinDesk podcast for the last cycle, and then now we're on Blockworks, and yeah, obviously a little bit second tier there, but that's all right. We do lots of macro content, lots of crypto bad guy stuff, lots of regulatory lawsuits, all the sort of big picture coverage type of thing. And yeah, I got that job in October 2021, right at the top of the last cycle. So I did sort of my first couple of years just covering FTX blowing up. NLW, the host of the podcast, was the marketing manager, the chief marketing officer for FTX. So I got a really good close look at what the hell happened there. And then, yeah, we sort of covered it as Do Kwon blew apart, and then 3AC blew apart, and did all that coverage. But yeah, so I've been trading since about 2017 and covering it full time since 2021.
Sick, man. Nice.
That's lit.
I love like how your intro is like, oh yeah, I joined this company, and then I watched everything fall apart, and I commentated on all of it.
Yeah, literally, like my first podcast that I produced was El Salvador legal tender week. So that week was like legal tender, Pico Top, Coinbase IPO, all around that time. And then went into Christmas feeling pretty good, got a nice, welcome to the club bonus because everyone was riding high. And then, yeah, within a couple of months, just things started going real bad. Real bad.
I feel you.
I actually remember, for me, like personally, I actually thought like the FTX crash was like terrible, but for me personally, I thought the Luna crash was more impactful on my portfolio. That was like, I was like super heavy on ETH, and ETH actually went like really low during the Luna crash
I still remember
3AC
the
were like
place I
super
was.
leveraged ETH.
Like I remember the time and day, like where I was, like what I was doing, everything.
Yeah, so do I.
I have it like ingrained in my memory.
Bro, I was like watching a footy game, and I just see ETH at like $800 or something, and I'm just like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Dude, I had bought Anchor Protocol, and I had Anchor Protocol because like, fuck yeah, I want to have exposure to this Ponzi. This is sick. And I was on a surf trip in Bali, so internet was patchy, and I didn't even I just checked my Binance one afternoon, and it was at like fucking $4, and I was like, wait, what? This was more than $4. And it was literally just like the anchor chart is just this one giant like red daily candle, and I was like, oh, cool. Well, never mind. GG's. Thanks, Do Kwon.
Yeah, I totally agree that was the most impactful one. I remember because I was still fairly new to the company at that point. So I was sitting up chatting to NLW that night. It was their daytime as the Luna Ponzi blew itself up. And I was just watching the chart on FTX, and I was just telling NLW, like, this was after it had exploded, and we'd all been watching it explode over the last day or two. And then when it was like trading down 99.99%, and it was still doing huge volume, and everyone else had turned the pair off. And I was just chatting to NLW, and I was like, why is SBF not turning this pair off? And he was like, I don't know, man, because it was a really bad look at the time. There were just all these people throwing money into this blown up Ponzi for no reason. Yeah, looked really weird. That was about the point when I was like, I think I might not deposit any money into FTX, actually.
One of those people were me.
Yeah.
The bounces on that thing were insane.
Yeah, they were good bounces.
They were
good
like some like 8-9x bounces that you could like catch if you could time it
I
right.
remember I caught one with like no money at all. I had like, I think on KuCoin I had like literally nothing in my KuCoin account. I was just wanted to leverage it. I had like $500 in my KuCoin account, and I think I went like 3x long leverage. And I sold it like way too early. I sold it for like a 70% gain or something, because I'm like, oh no, this is scary, whatever. And it had already been like, all my coins had already been going down that day, like nuking all day. So I was like already in a shit mood, like had PTSD. And then like it bounced like I think 7x or something. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, man, could have made like quick 5 figures in like 20 minutes. But yeah, nah, that eventually, yeah, 0. But yeah, pretty funny.
Insane. What else can we talk about? Should we do biggest fumbles for 2024?
Yeah, go around the room. I reckon everyone should.
Everyone's got
Start
one.
with the special guests, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Take us.
Let's hear it, Scott.
Yeah, let's go.
Me first?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bowden by like a mile.
oh yes, Bowden.
I think I was 50x.
50.
I think I bought it in the first 3 hours or so, and I traded in and out of it because there was a bunch of other nonsense going on.
God.
That was the same week that like Bohm launched, and there was a bunch of other like insider nonsense. So I traded around it, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, cool. This is going 50x, 100x, or whatever. Rode it all the way up to 50x. And then I was like, oh, there's still months left in this narrative. I guess I'll just hold this bag forever. And yeah, held the bag forever and round tripped it completely.
No.
So you actually round.
That's so foul.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, but it was my first 50x. So like, yeah. That was going to happen.
Charge it to the game. Yep.
Dr. Robert Laxative sends his regards.
Yeah. Mr. Bob.
Yeah, it's like that's the tutorage cost.
Yeah.
Damn. I just sold my Bowden too early, so that's my poison.
Yeah. It's actually
Bowden
crazy.
will always have a special place in my heart, man. Like it was before I didn't even buy ETH. I got sent ETH. The first thing I bought was Bowden.
That's the fucking coolest thing I've ever heard, bro. Well done.
That's crazy.
Do you reckon there's a play with Bowden where like you buy a bunch of it and you just wait for Biden to die, and then hopefully
that's
like
that could actually be like really good.
It's literally
what's Bowden trading at right now?
Like
It's actually sick.
You could honestly probably buy it now, and it probably won't go down. Oh, I mean, it could easily go down.
It could easily go down.
But yeah.
Run it back, Scott. Rebuy with conviction.
You're probably guaranteed a 10x when Biden dies.
I'm not going to hold that bag for 10 years waiting for that old bastard to die.
Yeah, he could do like Jimmy Carter and just like live to 100 in a wheelchair.
That's true.
Yeah, he's going to live forever.
I feel like if you ever see the chart ticking up like consistently, like there's like some insider information.
Knows.
Yeah. The market's always right. So
It's his doctor. It's his fucking doctor buying Bowden. Like
They decided to go in the trenches with their insider info and did the
Yeah.
meme token of Joe Biden.
Tokenizing everything was
Yeah.
honestly the right thing to do.
The worst. The worst.
I'm actually interested to see, like, in 3 years, if like any specific coin that has, like, you know, a specific thing like Bowden will actually just catch a random huge bid after being dead for like 2 years. If like something happens, that would be so funny.
It probably does, man, right? Like
Like it
somewhat.
literally does like 2K volume for like 2 years straight, and then like one day it just like goes to 10 mil. That'd be so funny.
I definitely think it has like its time. Like you could even argue maybe around inauguration day, like something happens with Biden that like gets a little pump out of it. But we won't ever
1
do it.
mil.
So
I think it was
I'll
like,
buy
wasn't it like a
Bowden.
billion or something?
yeah, it hit 1 billion. It like
That's insane.
It's down 99%. That's insane.
it's gonna be so funny watching like all of these charts that we know and love today.
Oh yeah, they'll all die. Yeah, forever. It's so shit. Yeah, it's funny because like I still think in my head like I'm like, oh, this coin's cheap, but it's like they're probably just gonna die like forever.
They're cheap for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point.
The
I will
funniest thing
forever
is
block that out.
the funniest thing is
Cheap
that
for a reason.
during
It's so true.
in about, we'll call it 2027, right? We're going to have a similar rally to the one that we've just had with like Ripple and Litecoin and all this nonsense, but it's going to be nostalgia memes. So like,
Yep.
you know, now that once PopCat goes to negligible amounts and Whiff does the sphere thing and then dies, and all of these 2022, 3-ish era coins going to have this like ridiculous most hated rally sometime early next cycle. We're all going to be offside for it, and we're all going to hate it so much, and it's just not going to stop.
Yeah, probably.
So you're saying we should just bag hold everything? Cool. All right, got it.
Yeah,
Never
I think
sell.
you should
That's
hold
like
your
the
PopCat
retarded
for
thing,
a decade, Tom.
Too late.
Never,
Anyway,
ever sell.
I mean, yeah,
Always
I still have a
buying.
lot of PopCat.
I like that thesis. That's a good like
Selling is
like
negative
terminal.
EV.
Yeah, exactly. Just delete the sell button and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but everyone will have capitulated by then. So, like, don't
Yes.
hold it until then. You need to exit at some point, Tom. Please.
No. I would never do that. I would never exit my PopCat position.
I am one with my PopCat. My PopCat is me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
All right, Miffy, what have you got for us? What's your biggest fumble so far?
Probably. There's not like too many because I haven't been in it for too long. But probably SPX. I held it probably.
Yeah.
I bought it at maybe 10 mil market cap, and I remember I was like in the trenches. I was like, "This is so fun! I'm gonna post like memes and shit for these guys." And then when that pump started, I think I sold it at like 40 mil, and I was like, "Dude, this is the best! I got a fucking 4x out of this." And then watched it fucking go to the moon.
Yep.
I think I would like if I held it, I'd probably have like what 4 or 5 times my portfolio now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you made
Which
a
is
bunch
like
of
not that
money.
much.
So you made a bunch
I
of money.
Like, didn't.
Yeah, but you sold it for a
No,
massive profit, right?
It
No.
could have been more. I think.
Like he sold it for
Could've
a
been-
profit, but
could've
it
been
like
more. It could've
50x after he sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's the good version of this story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't round
Yeah,
trip it.
look, didn't round trip it. That's of a worse fate.
Yeah, you got paid to learn.
Paid to learn
Exactly.
to be delusional.
That's not a bad way to look at it.
In the Discord chat, there's a channel there called Cope Seed and Selling the Bottom Jeets Only. And if you scroll up a little bit, there's a post from me with the SBX chart, and I did something similar. And like I held a bag of SPX from October last year, which did really well for me, so I can't complain. But then back in May, I bought more. I was like, all right, I'm gonna put like 2 ETH into this thing. I got like 350,000 tokens, and then similar to you, I got like a 2x, and I was like, sweet, 2x on 2 ETH. It was great, easy. Sold it, and then fucking just rips. And then I ended up buying back in at like that 14-cent mark, and then I ended up selling it at like 68 cents with that buyback in. But that original bag that I had would have been close to $350,000 US at the top. So
Holy shit, mate!
that hurt a little bit, but I still walked out with some like good profits from my original bag. But yeah, that sucked.
Nice.
Yeah. There's definitely worse things to happen.
Yeah, I think the worst part about it was Murad gave me like the heads up that he was going to buy it. I still didn't like believe in it in that sense. I still bought like 1 ETH worth, and I did the exact same thing as you did. I sold it around, I think, 45 million, because I was like convinced. He started shilling it, and all the coins that he had like previously shilled had gone up like 4 or 5x, and then they'd sort of topped out. So I was like, this is like a good time to just like, cool, I made like, 4 or 5 ETH really quickly in like 3 days. And so I like sold it. And then it just like, I checked the next day and it was like 80 mil. I was like, oh, fuck.
It really went vertical for like a couple of
I couldn't
weeks.
believe how quickly it went up. Like obviously it's like so unique and like hilarious, and like it's very unique, and but I just
it's
couldn't believe it.
still really like it's done well. Like it's held up probably one of the best.
Yeah, it's
charts.
like all other Murad's coins have like died, and
But
this one's like the
even
best
just in crypto in general, like it is one of the best charts that have held up. Like if you had like full ported like even back in October into SPX, like you're
you'd be laughing.
You're still up versus every other coin in the market right now. So.
Yeah, it's done really well. It's like the best cult probably.
Yeah, those motherfuckers were literally. I remember we bought it like we were all buying that shit in like
October,
January, like
2023. No,
not
it was
even
October
like
last
early.
year.
It was like October last year. I remember
It was early, and
we'll
and like I mean, speaking from my perspective anyway, I was just getting fucking rinsed on ETH coins, and I was like, nah, I'm not very good at this. It's like my first time like buying memes and shit, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. Gas was still super expensive, but yeah, I reckon I G'd it in like January or something, and then just seeing that chart, I haven't even looked at the numbers. I've just refused. I'm like, nah, not doing it. Don't want to know. Don't want to know how much I had. Don't want to find out.
Like raid that hard. Like all my posts, I just see like even when it wasn't popping off, like when it was like sub 10 mil, like those motherfuckers were crazy. They just like kept every time I make a post, they would just like jump in and just like shill the fuck out of it to me. And I'm like, these guys are insane. But
I realized I'm actually wearing an SPX 6900 shirt right now.
Bro, I wore one today.
Gotta wrap it.
I'm gonna buy one.
Good t-shirt.
It's my favorite.
Fits me
my
well.
favorite shirts. Yeah.
It's like actually good.
I think the thing was, right, like all the other stuff that Murad pumped, it was all kind of synthetic. It was all stuff that he like either created or was around for creating. XPX was already like a big thing before, and he used it as the example of like, this is how this stuff works.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of the other stuff that he pumped was like, oh yeah, I can just create this out of nothing. Here, go and be idiots with this new thing.
Like Giga, for example. I've never seen anyone talk about
Giga.
Giga.
No, never seen it.
Giga is like the most forced thing I've ever seen.
I don't like
and I just don't understand it. Whereas like, SPX, like when people were saying like the whole thing was about Murad, like I was a bit upset because like I was a SPX soldier from like last year. I've got like stickers all over my MacBooks. It's on my PC. Like that, like, and I've got the t-shirts. Like I've enjoyed that meme for a long time. But when they were associating that coin with him, I was like, it's not really him. Like the community did that, and then he just put light onto
amplified it a bit. Yeah.
Everything else was like,
Six.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I have a merch question for the dev. Sticks, what size is your SPX shirt?
Oh no, I got the double XL.
Okay, sick.
5. So get one size above like whatever you usually would get, I think.
Okay, sick. Cool. Getting
Also,
an XL.
We just spent all this time shitting
right
on
now.
Giga, We just spent all this time shitting on Giga, but it might actually be Miffy's largest bag, and we've just made him feel terrible.
Oh,
about his
really?
investment.
No, no. Nah,
No,
I actually get Giga. I've just never bought it and I missed it, so that's
I
why
just
I
never
hate it.
seen anyone talk about it.
I'm pretty sure only idiots hold Giga anyway, so it's fine. Don't worry.
It's
No.
it's a
fuck
Gen
them.
Z coin. It's a Gen Z coin. That's why we don't see.
Yeah,
it.
that's why. Boomers don't understand the Giga.
Miffy. Tell us about Giga, please.
You know what? I've only seen Giga on like TikTok. I don't think I've never seen it on my timeline. Not besides
Yeah.
like anything that
I
Murad
saw it like on
posted.
Instagram. The account on Instagram's like quite big.
Gen Z
Yeah,
coin.
yeah. I've only ever.
Wow. And the chart actually isn't
good.
bad.
Great.
Wow. What
Nah,
the
it feels
fuck is
good
this
as.
coin?
It's the same thing as SPX. It's like actually holding up okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, there's the TikTok Zoomers have like
Murad
more
loves
fucking
it so
diamond
much.
hands than
Yeah.
crypto people.
You know what? No one talks about it on the TL. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
Giga.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've just never bought it.
And think about the TikTok meta, right? Like, we look at hundreds and hundreds of dog shit meme coins on Twitter. On TikTok, there's like 5. There's like Giga, maybe Zin, maybe there's Ripple idiots doing Ripple TikToks, Sigma. But yeah, like there's no one's spamming Apu every day on TikTok.
True.
No.
There's just
No one knows who
Much less.
Apu is, let alone like anything else. Like everyone sees Apu and still thinks of Pepe. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Fucking Apu.
Yeah. What about you, Sticks? What's been a big fumble for you in 2024?
I don't know. Probably like recently. Probably like. I mean, there's like heaps, obviously, but like ones that like I probably thought would do well and I like sold it way too early was Fartcoin because I like bottom bought it. Like I originally first bought it at like 5 million, but then I sold it like instantly. So I think I lost money on it hilariously. I think I lost like probably like 10% of my money on it. It was just so volatile like when it launched. And then like coped, watch it go to like 80 million. And then it went all the way back to like 20 and I started like heavily clipping in at like 22 million. And like I actually held through like it kept going back to 20 mil, like kept retracing like 3 or 4 times. I was like, I'm just gonna hold this. And then it started to go up and I'm like, oh, this is good as. It got to like I don't know, it got to like 100 and something or like I think it got to like 200 and then it retraced a little bit, I sold it and then Taiki started chilling it. And I was like, haha, sweet, like this guy's gonna like cause the pico top of this coin. And then yeah, like it just like ripped. I think it's at like 1 billion now or something. I don't know, but I think it wasn't like my biggest fumble in terms of like multiples, but it was my biggest fumble in terms of like USD because I actually clipped in a fuckload of money at like 22 mil. So that was like bad fumble. I should have realized it was like the first meme coin conceived by like not a human, so it could have like had some significance, but yeah, I don't know. But PTSD, I guess, got to be more delusional.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah, goddamn.
you, Tom?
Too many to count, really. I sold a bunch of shit way too early. Probably worst ones are definitely Bowden and Retardio. They were like,
yeah, Retardio.
They were just dumb. Where I was like,
I remember you
sick,
sold
like
that too early.
dude, yeah, like I think I got like a 4 of like it was good for me at the time because it was like when I was still building up like a soul position. So I was just kind of like grateful to be getting anything, but I didn't really realize or have any sense of like how stupid shit could go. And I was kind of just like, oh yeah, fuck it, 4 or 5x, that's great. Like let's cop that. Ended up like buying back in on like Retardio eventually, but like way later. So there's that. I would say like the biggest fumble recently, the most painful one was having to stable. just because I was literally like, I can't sleep watching this go down at this level, and I've already round tripped, you know, a nice house deposit, so I'm just going to call it. That one was like probably like the most psychologically harmful.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a fumble though, right? Like it's more just
no, like it's more just like the but yeah, I wouldn't put it in like the fumble box necessarily, more just like the having the market manage risk for you basket, where I'm like, well, okay, cool, I'm no longer in control of this decision. Thank you, Bob Lax.
Thank you, Pop Lax.
But yeah, I don't know. There's been a fucking bunch of them. Oh yeah, Farcoin's another one. Had that at 40 mil with like really decent size, but again, just didn't see what was happening with it. I was kind of like, oh yeah,
The
cool.
one we all faded was AI16Z. We all
that's another one.
That's
another one.
That was.
I knew there was more.
That was gonna be mine.
No, because we like all clipped into that. That's the thing. Like,
okay, so I'll just pull up. I'll start sharing screen as well because
I clipped a lot into that as well.
I found my
40 mil.
fucking original buys, and so this is me. If you can see it on the Discord, I'm sharing screen. But
fuck, that chart looks beautiful.
I sold the bottom here after clipping in at the original top at like 5 mil or just a casual 2,200%, 62%, and I clipped in like, I don't know, it was probably like $10,000 worth at the time too. So yeah, that a little bit painful. And I was like so confident on it too. Like that was the hardest thing.
That's the worst part.
I was like, this makes so much sense to me. This is the first like AI thing that actually makes sense to me. Like I'm keen on this, but then fucking I think I just got swallowed into the trenches and I watched it like nuke from like where it was, because like back then, what was it? I think it nuked after I pop clipped down like 80%, 70%, and I was like, okay, fuck this shit.
So, question for you, Wannel, because I'm really bad at this as well, like trading in the trenches. What stops you, like, see sort of 5 candles after your buy when it starts taking off again?
Yeah.
What stops you buying back in there?
So at that point, I didn't even have the ticker on the because I was doing it all through my Telegram bot, and I wasn't even paying attention to the ticker. And then by the time that I had noticed that it had pumped, it was like up here. It was like 300 mil.
So
I was just sidelined at that point. Yeah. Yeah, you're just getting rid of tickets. Like, once you've sold it, it's off the it's off the list.
You're not thinking about it again.
But me, even if I saw it go higher, I can't buy back in because I would like, I just have this like thought in my brain that like I'm just too stubborn to buy back in. Like if I've already sold it for like a loss, or I sold it for like, you know, lower than what it is now, I rarely buy back into a coin unless it's like a coin that I'm going to like. I did it with Popcat. That was like the only coin I did it with this entire cycle, where like I sold it for like a 4x and then I ended up buying back with size like higher. But most coins, like 99% of coins, like with this as well, like I sold it and I saw it go back up. I'm like, I'm not buying that. Like it was, I'm just too stubborn, I think.
I feel like I do that too, and I don't think it's a good habit. That's why I ask.
If I like a ticker, right? So if I genuinely just think a thing is good, and I'll keep it there. So then if it does go back higher, I probably will buy back in. But like if my initial intention is like around like a gamble, then I'll probably just like delete the ticker or whatnot. But in this case, I think the thing that fucked me over, which probably comes to my actual fumble of the cycle, was probably whiff. So I still did well off of whiff, but like I could have sold whiff at much higher levels. And I proceeded to hold whiff for like majority of the year. And I think because like I did originally so well in whiff, and then That was like, it made like a large portion of my port at a point in time. I was gambling on these other coins, and when this thing also went down and whiff was down, I was like, I can't like deal with any more losses. Like, I'm just gonna hold the bags that I've got, and that's it. Especially like after going down 80%. And I think that's where that kind of fucked me up. Whereas if I was a bit more liquid in having some more spot Solana or something, that I was willing to sacrifice, then I probably would have been able to buy back in on the chart. But like at that point, I was so like heavily allocated to memes. I was like, nah, I can't do it anymore. Like this was a bad move.
I totally agree with him. And that's why I'm really glad that coming into meme season, I already had big bags set up in Bitcoin and some L1s.
Yep.
So that I could sort of take 20% drawdowns on that and still feel like I can be taking risk elsewhere. Whereas I think, if I was like you and I was 50%, 60% allocated to whiff, and it's completely auto-correlated to all the rest of the meme nonsense blowing up, and it's really, really difficult decision to be like, all right, let's start firing clips.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would say the psychological thing that stops me from like re-entering, especially if I've already sold something for a loss, it's just that feeling of like, man, if I lose money on this again,
yeah. Like
oh boy. It's not, it's like one thing to like touch the hot stove and be like, okay, that was silly. But then to be like, what if I hold it down for a second longer? Like, I wonder what'll happen. And then it's just like,
it's like if you lose your $20 playing 3-card Monty on the street, and then you see another couple of guys come up and the fake players win their $20, and then you show back up and give the guy 50.
Yeah, legit. It's that same feeling of like, you know what? One more roll of the dice. Then it's like, okay, cool.
I've done that so many times, like in my early like gambling trenches like career, where like I would sell something and then rebuy back, and it would like literally be close to like the local top of that like meme coin. So like now I just be stubborn. I'm just whatever. And sometimes it's not good, but yeah.
I feel like in these conditions, risk, it's not going to hurt you. In current
no
thingies. Like I was having that temptation with Spore the other day. Like
Spore,
buying that with you, like basically trailed you in on that, and then like sold around like 70-ish and was like, fuck, and was just watching it kind of heat up. And I was like, oh man, damn it, I've done it again. I kept like a really small moon bag, but I was like, this could be something. But I literally sold because I was like actually bidding the coins when they came out, and I was like, fuck, this meta's gonna get tired pretty quickly. Like it's just botted to shit. It's not that interesting. It's literally just like, it's got a kid now and it's a different token that's not gonna go as high as the second or the third one. Like it's just it feels like a race to the bottom game where it's like, well, they're capped by the ones above them. Who the fuck is actually like, you can't even get like a really good like multiple on it because like everyone, like it's botted to the shit house. And you can just see on SoulScan where it sends tokens to before it like lists it on the website. You can just go on SoulScan, look at the previous like gen wallet, and be like, okay, it sent 15 Sol here to this contract, and then you can bid the coin. But the second that it does that, it's just like, and you're like, okay, cool, never mind.
At least you didn't buy the wrong Spore. If I'm honest.
Wait,
you
what?
Sent Spore. You said buy Spore, and I bought Spore. And then you guys were talking about it going to like 50 or 60 mil, and I looked at my like allocation, and I was like, why is this at 50 market cap? But yeah, I made money off it though, which is the main thing. I think it pumped like 2x, and then I sold it. So I was like, oh yeah.
That's
too bad.
Good feel good story there. No, I'm gonna send contracts from now on.
Sometimes those bootleg tickets do really well. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, there's been a few.
We wouldn't know anything about bootleg tickers doing really well.
Chris, what about that one that we all bought like with Z and it like at like 8K market cap, and it pumped
lo-fi.
Yeah.
Oh my
Dude,
god,
that
dude,
was so
lo-fi.
upsetting, man.
I was so like explain it how like the cabal fucked us, and it was the classic like just getting fucked. We could have made so much more.
Yeah, well, I found I had this. I was listening to lo-fi doing something. I can't remember what, but I was like, well, feel like the whole internet's going to come online at some stage. Let me buy some like lo-fi ticker on sale. So I found, pardon me, the most legitimate lo-fi ticker I could find, and bought up like a large chunk of the supply. And then I get all these messages. Well, no, first we were on a call and doing some other stuff, and I convinced everyone else to like buy some, so we all did, which was good vibes. And then basically I got all these messages once, and they were saying that lo-fi was like pumping to like 20 mil, and we had all bought it at like 12k market cap or something like that. So for a split moment I was like, I think I may have made generational wealth off this trade. But turns out the cabal just made a new coin and then just launched that, and that got all the attention, and our token did not get a pump. So yeah.
This is the way.
They just launched a new one and sent
They-
it. I was like, they're launching their own verticals. This isn't allowed. We put the
friends in the industry apparently.
Yeah.
That's against the Solana meme coin rules.
Yeah.
Fucking cabal.
I'm
man.
telling Mert they're breaking the rules. They're only allowed to buy my coins. What the fuck? Oh. But yeah, shit. Is that it for fumbles?
Yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about 2025, what we can expect or look forward to, what we think might be hot, what can we invest in and obviously lose money on, and repeat this whole thing again in a year's time. Let's start with you, Miffy. You've got the fresh eyes. What do you think will be all the rage in 2025?
Oh, have you guys heard of this ticker called Giga? Dude, honestly, I have like proper no clue. I'm so keen to lose some money. I think it'll be such
That's
a
the spirit.
fun. Like, I'm thinking if I lose some money, it's like I don't have like crazy days or anything like that. I lose some money, I've like lost like a few months worth of wages. I'm not that upset, but it'd be such good lore. It'd be so fun. Synopsis is I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm excited as fuck for it.
Yeah, that's good, man.
That's
That's
the fucking correct attitude to have. God damn it. Nice.
What are you boys?
What about you, Scott? What do you think for new trends in 2025?
Yeah. Do you want the macro everything is going to be really rough take, or do you want the Sui
no.
is the new God coin?
Whatever you
Both.
feel like.
Both.
Just to
both.
know
I
if you
wanna
talk
hear
about
both.
something.
I
Yeah, if you-
actually have some interesting. I had an interesting experience yesterday regarding Sui, so I'm curious to hear your takes on both.
All right. I'll give the macro take real quick. Liquidity is fucked. The US dollar is going up really, really fast and really, really hard. You'll probably notice your Pacific pesos are not doing so well.
Wonderful.
Liquidity is going to be real rough for the first month. I think for the first quarter. I think it's going to be a really big headwind for Bitcoin and other majors, and it's going to be really difficult for lower cap stuff to do well unless it has a really strong narrative. So, like, the price insensitive buying will still happen, but I think it's going to be really hard to get like a momentum train under the whole ecosystem to lift. So I'm just a bit sketched out by the liquidity conditions for the first quarter on a macro basis, not specifically about crypto. The Sui is the God coin take. Solana's fucking cooked. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like, it's not fun anymore,
Yeah,
and you
self-interest
can't
is
make any
fucked.
money. Yeah, so like you sign in and you send the cabal your monthly paycheck, and then you try again next month, and that's basically what Solana does now.
Yeah, if you're not
So
an
yeah,
insider, you're fucked.
yeah, it's just the game has gotten way too hard. The pace is really, really fast. It wasn't this fast 6 months ago. And any time that stuff, I don't know, I haven't traded on Solana for a few months, so I don't know if the pace has slowed down a bit, seeing as everyone's lost all their money. But whenever stuff heats up, it gets really, really fast, really, really quick, and it makes it impossible to play, churns users, whatever. So I think that we're ready for a rotation into whatever the next casino is.
Hype.
Sui looks, yeah, hype. Probably hype, but Sui to me looks like a Solana clone. It looks about as good, probably better technically, whatever. It's already up 6x in the last year. I think it's got a lot more to run. And more importantly, I think the on-chain environment is much easier to play than Solana. And I think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing people migrate across. I've been trading dog shit on there for the last couple of months. I haven't done that well, but it looks easy enough. I've done a few sort of 3x up, cut in half, 50% down. I've done that trip a couple of times now on just assorted nonsense. You can still buy the infrastructure and expect it to go up, like getting the Jupiter trade at the start of this year. There's just a bunch of those sorts of opportunities still around. It does rely on the idea of people migrating across into Sui. It looks like it's happening based on TVL. Who knows how much of that is real? They also have a big, like, serious investor KOL type groups like Raoul Pal, who are going to pump the shit out of it as soon as appropriate. It looks to me like it's got tailwinds, and I think the on-chain environment is much easier to trade than Solana at the moment. Who knows how long it lasts?
Interesting.
Interesting.
Nice.
I have used Sui like twice. It was like pretty like seamless, pretty quick experience. I mean, it's quite fast, like everything there as well. But in
It's
terms
easy
of
to
like
be fast when nothing's happening on it.
nothing's happening, yeah. So it's like you're probably earlier. And as you said, there's probably like more available liquidity to actually be put into meme coins, whereas like liquidity is sort of fragmented on Sol now. It's like stuck in like a million different things. It's all
That's
Yeah,
the big thing.
there may be too many coins.
too many coins.
I think we have too many
That's
coins.
a hot take.
There's literally, I think there's literally about 15 coins that are actually on my watch list in Sui, and all I've really been doing is buy whatever goes up the most in the previous day, and then sell it if it stops going. And it's like a small enough ecosystem that you can do that pretty. You can at least monitor it reliably. Whether or not you can actually trade
Don't
it
have
well
a-
is another question, but
True.
you can't even monitor Solana anymore. You can't even keep track of the AI coins just as a sector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Unless
so
you're like,
fast.
unless you're like pumped, like giga locked into the PC like 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
And
You have to
you're
be
able-
hard autistic.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it's gotten a bit. It's very difficult to have like an edge there now. Like I remember when Pump.Fund first came out, it was literally like buy things and they would just rip. Like it was almost like a guarantee of like whatever was
but that's
kind of
'cause there's
funny.
no coins. Like if
Yeah,
you
legit. Like no one really had any idea of what was going on. I remember there was one called Plank, which was based on the Plank from Ed, and Eddie show. And that was like a 20x. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, I didn't realize at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, oh, so that's what easy mode is. Like everyone's just bidding this shit, and now you can't get a single thing to do shit off Pump.Fun.
Yeah.
So
I think the
I feel
whole
like that side is
yes.
cooked.
I think the whole when TikTokers came in, it kind of cooked it because now the trenches are so like the attention spans are so cooked and like everyone so rotates so fast that like they literally look for like any sort of TikTok like trend that's going on and they'll just like instantly launch a coin on it. And like that was probably like the doom cycle right there. Like when we're looking for like just fucking like pointless one day trends on TikTok, like and launching a token that'll go to like
And
200k mark cap.
And that's the other thing I've noticed is that when I was trading Solana a bit more actively, you couldn't hold stuff overnight. Like, that was a death sentence, and I want to be able to hold stuff through the American session.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, we're following daily trends at a certain point in Solana, maybe like 6-hour metas. And if your trade's going well, you can't sleep, or otherwise you wake up to your bags destroyed, and that's not tenable.
Yeah, the only money I've made on shitcoins in Solana is if I like know, like if I have like a huge edge and I buy it like literally I buy it on Pump Fun at like sub 30k. Like that's the only time like if I'm buying a coin like a new launch above like 200k, it better be like freaking Christ Reborn. Like it better be like the greatest meme of all time, because most of the coins are going well below 200k once they top.
Yeah, I see, man.
Yeah, so I have no edge buying like over a certain price anymore. So I just don't buy.
Yeah. What about you, 1L? What do you think's going to be the go for 2025?
I may have to take a pause on that question because I just spilt red wine on the carpet. So
Jesus Christ.
Oh no!
We'll jump
oh, no.
we'll jump to Thomas Mitchell Hill.
I'm gonna mid curve the shit out of this one and just say like AI, AI infra. I don't know. It just feels
AI
like
infra, our ones of
it's
this cycle probably.
yeah, like it feels like the most, like at least that's for me. Still looking around on Sol at the moment, I think that's probably it. I think Base is going to have a kickoff on the AI shit over the next couple of months. I'm unironically endorsing Base season now. Well, probably not in like full swing of like, oh, holy shit, it'll get as crazy or as big as Solana. I don't think that happens. But I do think that Base is something to be looked at now, especially that Solana is so cooked. Like, unless I start to see a really solid trend with Solana again in the direction of up, I'm kind of like, I'm being a bit more wary and just being like, okay, like taking profits a bit like lower than where I normally would and just trying to write them off in my head as like, okay, that's probably like good enough. Because like even the most like attention, like heat-seeking missile coins have been topping at like 70 mil at like the biggest shit that's happening, like with the most crazy stuff going on and everyone's eyes on it. It's like somewhere between like 60 and 80 is where they're topping out. And I'm like, and that's been like that for like 2 weeks now. I'm like, well, that's not great. Like a month ago, that shit would have run to like 200-300 easily. And so just seeing that like slow down, I'm like, I really think that it takes a kind of like fearless bid on Solana as a major in like the next couple of weeks to make me change my mind. I'm still optimistic on Solana. Actually, like longer term, I still think that it has a lot going for it. You've got some Sol Maxis headed to the White House to oversee shit, so I'd be surprised if that doesn't kind of filter out into price at some point. But it really just fucking depends on, like as Scott was saying before, liquidity looks pretty garbage. USD is really strong. The macro outlook doesn't look incredible for our magic internet coins. I'm probably going to be the guy that's like holding the bag at the end of it all, but like still turbo bullish 2025, just waiting for when it looks that way. I think we've had a lot of like it's so overs, and we're going to have a pretty solid we're so back. I do think it's a Bitcoin super cycle, but I'm too poor to be there. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to fumble around on the edges. But yeah, I do think that like anything with the word fucking AI in it for the next month or two will be like solid, at least. Unironically, I think that AI 16Z is probably like one of the most undervalued tokens long term. I think that that's probably like, if I had a freakish amount of size, I would probably move into it fairly heavy. And I'm planning to anyway. I was just like, oh, it'll dip and then it goes to 1.3. And I was like, cool, that's very nice. That's very good. I was watching that at 600 mil being like, not yet. And now I'm like, okay, good. Missed a nice 2x on that. But yeah, I think finding shit with AI that actually achieves or like serves a function, if you can And there's the mix of serving a function, but I feel like if you focus too much on utility, you'll get fucked as well.
Yeah.
I think when you start seeing leaders of certain foundations talking about the coin, just not financial advice, but like I will be, because it's something that happened with Griffane, was something that I was like, the fuck is this? And then Tolly started being like, hell yeah, this is great. And it was like $200 million market cap from like 8. I was like, oh no. So I just think that that's something to keep an eye on, for like watch what the big people in this space start throwing their weight behind in terms of infra. I'm currently playing the game of trying to like find the next ones that could be something, but the price action of the last week is making me question whether or not I'm finding undervalued plays or I'm just doing the classic and bidding the tokens that don't actually fucking go up.
Yeah.
Which is like a
It's-
really chronic problem of like not bidding the winner. It's like, oh well, that one's already gone up. I've got to find the beta, and it's like, no, dude, don't buy the fucking beta. Buy the coin that's going up.
Yeah,
It's
So-
virtuals, right?
Yeah,
The-
virtuals is
The leader is virtuals, yeah.
Virtuals is definitely it. I'm looking more Sol Eco because that's my playground, whether I like it or not now. But yeah, Virtuals, I think Virtuals affiliated coins.
Why AI XBT on Sol, like a wormhole?
What
Is that-
one
but yeah.
thing I'm really curious about your take on for this, Tom, because like, so I do a second show within LW about AI, about like actual AI industry stuff, and none of the crypto shit does anything compared to what the actual AI companies do. Like they're building really fancy chatbots and using about 1% of the actual technology that exists. So if you're actually using AI as a professional, the stuff that's showing up on chain is like really primitive and quite frankly garbage, and it doesn't look like it has an actual pathway to do anything more useful than automate a marketing campaign, which is like useful, but it's a toy. Do you think it actually matters whether this stuff does truly impressive stuff, or will it be enough to just like be able to fine tune a chatbot?
I would say that like it really depends on conditions. Like it really depends
What the fuck
how
does that mean?
So that means
How
the
degenerate-
tokens are fucking useless, and they're just AI, but with a token.
Yeah,
Yes,
and they're like a
correct. Like-
product of speculation and like when crypto markets doing well.
No one in crypto actually knows what any of this AI stuff is. So
Yeah.
you just slap AI on the bonnet, and you're like,
Yeah,
there
it's
we
like
go.
every
This is
altcoin,
worth a lot
every
of money.
utility altcoin of all
That's why
time,
like
you know?
I've been unable to actually like play the AI game at all. It's just because like none of it's actually it's just like a GPT wrapper. It's like here's a GPT wrapper, and we'll just call it this random name, and up it goes. But like there's nothing actually original being built.
like everything in crypto, I think that like 90% of this shit is just absolute garbage. And it will quickly go to zero when people kind of like either lose interest with it or figure out what it is and what's actually happening. I do think that kind of like dev houses like Virtuals, AI16Z, like they're actually, I'm not sure that they're going to be, you know, anything from an AI side that devs at OpenAI or at fucking, you know, what's the one that does Claude, whatever those companies are going to be like, oh, Anthropic, that's it. They're going to be like, wow, that's the best shit I've ever seen. But I do think that it has the potential, like if these like actual protocols with actual like repos and actual devs submitting shit have the chance to do like a breakthrough product of having some kind of fintech thing that actually does something useful. And I think that's kind of what you're gambling on with the bigger ones is like, okay, you could actually have something that comes out of these that's genuinely useful. So yeah, but it's a lot of them are essentially just like jazzier versions of like render. It's like, oh, look, we're doing, we've got AI technology in here somewhere. Don't
Yeah,
ask us where, but it's
like
there.
a fairer launch of render.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like my question is, can the market suspend disbelief for long enough for this stuff? Like AI 16Z, I've had a little play with it. Like it looks fun, but it's an AI toy, just the same as a lot of the other products in the actual AI space compared to doing something functional and interesting and like attaching a wallet to a chatbot and blah 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 blah. Can the market suspend disbelief that this stuff doesn't really do anything particularly groundbreaking for long enough for these coins to hit takeoff? Like, can we just close our eyes and bid like we did with the friggin' yield Ponzi's?
Well, I think
last
this
cycle?
this sort of proves like the argument. So you're approaching it from the perspective that you have a foundational understanding of different AI, I guess, systems outside of crypto. Tom's approaching it from the perspective of narrative trading in the sense that is it going to be something hot with momentum enough to ape it with size to get a profit? I'm approaching it from the perspective of still not even understanding how ChatGPT works, or why if I ask it a story, it repeats the same dialogue over and over again. So like, I think this like misalignment is precisely why AI 16 is like rallying in this instance, because I think a lot of people are price sensitive to what they deem successful rather than fundamental underlying like mechanics. And so I think everyone's going to be right at some point. I think it just comes with like the ebbs and flows of how these things sort of work. So like people bidding memes back in late 2023, you would have thought they were retarded given the amount of like shit that the industry went through in the peak of the FTX collapse. And then we got to the point where the largest watched like crypto video was the meme coin super cycle done by Murad. So, and that may or may not have marked the top of that sort of segment. So it's just the same thing with AI, because the reason why I never bought AI 16Z or any of these other AI coins was because I just thought NVIDIA was the AI play and everything else served as a beta. But now that there's like chatbots or these variations of AI agents doing stuff on chain, I don't even know if that's even innovative. All I know is that it's something new to me as a crypto participant. It doesn't matter if I have like the foundational understanding of the technical knowledge of how ChatGPT works or anything like that. I think that's where we could probably all agree on in terms of why this might be something worth bidding. But like you said, like if it's not that impressive and the market catches on, then yeah, we could go to zero. But as Stick says, like the market can remain retarded more than we can remain solvent. And so the Ponzi.
And I would also add to that of like, there's also the bet on like, what if something useful comes of this? Which has always been like the kind of like the engine of speculation with crypto of like, oh, well, like, I mean, literally DeFi summer was like, oh my God, it's going to revolutionize the entire world of global finance.
That's why.
And I think that's the kind of thing that we're starting to see.
But what's AI actually pitching here? Like, at least there was like a narrative around it, whereas like the AI narrative seems to be like, oh my God, these things might become sentient and they can trade things on chain and make decisions on chain. Like,
I would say that there's a couple of different.
I think it's just the infra, like the.
What does that mean?
yeah,
No, but you're just
what infra though? Like what is the infra?
No,
Yeah,
like the AI 16Z, like
the AI 16Z is just a fucking group trading thing. It's just a DAO. There's no actual AI with AI 16Z. It's just a DAO's
Right.
fun.
So here's the shit that you can do with it, right? You can build.
Yeah. Can't you build?
You can-
yeah, I swear I read
Yeah.
something about it.
Yeah,
As
so
I
you
said, I
can-
don't fucking know much about this shit.
Yeah. So here's the legitimate use case. You can build an AI-driven chatbot that can also generate pictures, and you can use that to automate your marketing budget. So for a meme coin, for whatever, you can just plug this stuff. You can train it up so that it knows the sort of things that you want it to talk about. Plug it into Twitter, any other socials, and you've got a fully automated marketing lead instead of having to hire 500 Filipinos. That's the use case at the moment. There might be a use case later on where you can build like some sort of AI-driven hedge fund or whatever. That's going to be tried. I haven't seen a legitimate version of that yet, and all the machine learning people that I follow say the early attempts at it look like a kindergartner trying to build a hedge fund strategy. So I'm not optimistic that that's actually legitimate. But yeah, it's basically like automating the marketing function that sits around a meme coin is where we're sort of looking at the moment. And you can also spin that off into like go into the Discord and chat to my AI agent, and it is a replica of me on the podcast, and you can talk to it as if you're talking to me from the podcast or whatever. And the question will be like, at some point, Microsoft or Google are going to release an actual AI agent where you can talk to it and it just does stuff for you on the computer. And I think at that point, the AI agents, quote unquote, that we've been dicking around with in crypto are going to look really stupid and like just years behind where the actual tech is.
Yeah, but this is like the speculation aspect. Like we all know like every single altcoin is going to go to zero against B2C. It's like how high are these going to go? Like that's basically what everyone's bidding. And it's like the utility of them, as you said, since you're like way more of an expert in this than us, is dog shit compared to like what actual, you know, proper AI foundations are building. But it's like in crypto, people will literally take anything to a point where like if they can build a narrative off it, like they'll just bid it because the whole fucking game of crypto is just speculation. So in the long run, you're like 100% right.
I agree with that, but like the part that I struggle with internally is like the, at least with crypto, was like the narrative made sense, right? Like it was decentralizing finance. Like there was something that was actually like a goal, something that needed to be achieved there. Whereas like the AI thing just feels like, what is it? If you know what I mean? It's like,
well, yeah, it's like forced by like the VCs
like,
because like we'll making money on memes
you just
and
slap
like no
AI
one...
on it and it's just like bang.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
got
yeah.
Yeah,
It was forced.
which I get from like, you know, a narrative perspective and a speculation perspective, but it's just like I struggle with what's the North Star of like this AI stuff.
And I think that's the issue that I keep having with it as well, right? Like, and I think that we don't have a good idea of what the time frame is going to be for the actual AI industry stuff. So like if the fully automated can build an app for you on your computer in 5 minutes version of AI agents is still years away, yeah, this narrative can last this cycle and it can do well. If Google drops a AI agent in the first quarter of next year, where you can just explain to it the app that you want it to build in a couple of sentences and it builds it and spits it out, perfect code, whatever. And that's a massive narrative for the traditional markets. I think we're going to look really silly dicking around with AI 16Z, and I think it's going to feel really silly. So that's my question of like, when does that bubble burst and when does it start to like actively feel silly?
Yeah.
Because you remember like the yield Ponzi's from last cycle felt really, really cool at the start. And then once they started detonating, they started feeling really stupid. I'm worried that the AI industry is moving ahead so rapidly that sort of what are we actually doing moment will arrive much faster than we anticipate.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I definitely think
no,
that. Like mine is very much momentum driven in the sense of like actually attaching to narratives. And it's like based very similar on the idea of like this is where attention from memes is headed. I don't necessarily I'm not necessarily convicted on this at all. I don't even like really I don't like AI as tech in general. I think it makes people like lazier and more complacent in its use in most cases, particularly when it's done for like art and creativity. It's like, I'll just use AI. It's like, how about don't? That's my it's my like live in a cabin in the woods take in general. I think it can be useful, but I think on the whole, like using it kind of just like becoming too reliant on it is just like becoming too reliant on anything. And I think it's a worry if you start integrating it too much into processes. So that's my Luddite take on it as like a trend. But I do think that there is the possibility. One else just like chum no. But I that's just me. I'm gonna.
I think it's just more of a momentum.
You sound so in my world as an engineer. You sound like the mechanical engineers that are like, we need to be drawing stuff by hand and not using
Fucking A, dude.
not
Literally,
using
I would have
fucking
been,
Autodesk, right? We need to
dude,
do calculations by hand
100%.
and not automate it through software and actually, you know, just plug in the variables, and rather than us solving equations by hand, we should, like, that's what it just screams
Bro,
to me.
Socrates said not to write stuff down because it makes you shit at thinking, and I agree. So he fucking hated pen and paper, dude. He didn't like that shit. No, I think that there's I'm talking about it purely from like a almost like a creative framework of like using it for. I think administrating shitty tasks, and not shitty tasks, but necessarily like things that a computer can do better. I think that that's fuck yeah, go for it.
I get
But
it from
I
a
think
creative point of view. Like,
from
don't get me
a
wrong.
creative point of view, when I see like writers or artists that aren't even like AI specific or like really trying to push barriers with AI, but just using it almost as like a fallback of like, oh, it helps me do this. I'm like,
But
yeah.
so
Tom,
from a creative
Yeah.
perspective, though, could you not argue that like it helps with writer's block?
Not really. I mean, I would say that you don't
I think
need to use it. I would say that you're depending on other things too much. You
true.
can not use it. A lot of great stuff has been written before AI.
And that's also not how you cure writer's block. You cure writer's block by like spending time not thinking about it and let it come to you. Tom,
Yeah.
make sure that you go and check out an AI enabled video collective called the Door Brothers, DOR. They're doing the coolest shit with AI art at the moment in video. That's definitely that's definitely where you want to look for like doing cool shit with AI.
Dude, and this is the thing, like I'm not opposed to it as like a new feel, but I'm just opposed to like the reliance on it where you don't need it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just kind of I'm being a fucking pleb about it. But overall, I think that the AI 16Z, the AI bots, the AI agents, like the fact that it's literally we've got Zero Bro, which the music I just like, bro. No. Like what else is there? There's like I think the AI XBT stuff, why it needs a token is beyond me.
But like, why does any coin need a token? Like, it's just
true.
The whole
Why am I being
industry is just
finicky about this now?
There's a speculation.
Why does it need
a token?
Like, we know all these AI tokens in like a year's time,
Most
or like
things
2
don't
years
need
are
a
going to be
token.
zero. So it's
Your chains need a token.
you're basically betting on it going up based off like a bit of the tech, you know.
And to be super clear, like Tom, I actually totally agree with you, and I think that everyone should be bidding the AI, like the AI leaders in particular. I think it's a really good idea to have some exposure there, and I think you're right that it's going to go up. More, my point was like I think the bubble is going to burst a little bit faster than people think, because there's people that like. I was listening to 1000X the other day. Those guys think that they're absolute geniuses because they were able to fine tune a GPT-3 on virtuals, and it's like I can go do that in 5 minutes with 15 different AI tools. It's not a particularly complicated thing. The underlying infrastructure being offered is not very interesting or novel or whatever. So all I was really trying to say was like, I think that the bubble burst moment where we realize that this stuff is very silly is going to come a little bit faster than some people expect, but like definitely trade the price action.
No, dude, I completely like. I think that's a very good. It does make me a little bit nervous about where we are in the cycle. This idea of like, oh, this is what we're leaning on. Like, this is the final leg of speculation that that's in the tank. Ruh-roh. But yeah, I do think that there's. I'm still maybe it's bag bias, but I'm still like interested this idea of like how it can be integrated with buzzword blockchains to to do novel shit that I'm like, okay, like there's probably one or two things that are going to come from this that you're going to be like, huh, okay, that stuck around. That's actually really fucking interesting. And there was a breakthrough. Funnily enough, I think a lot of it, again, like all crypto shit in the past, will be all of the developments and all of the shit that comes from it that we're like, oh, whoa, will be boring. and it'll just be stuff that gets laid into a back end of an app at some point that doesn't have a token.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, oh, this is a really cool tech. And it's like, yeah, this was originally this thing, but now we just use it for this.
Yeah,
And there's no
yeah,
token.
that
And it's
makes
not,
sense.
we're not making
And-
grillions of dollars from it.
And the issue is that hooking a chatbot up to a Solana wallet is actually a really hard problem. And I haven't seen anyone actually solve it well, other than just having a human in the loop doing the trades.
Yeah.
Once someone actually solves that problem and we get AI agents fully autonomously trading and using crypto for payment settling or whatever, that's really, really cool. And I think that will
Yeah.
be genuinely cool. I haven't seen anyone that's anywhere close to figuring that out yet.
That's
All people have
the
done
issue, is
like
that
chatbots.
I was about to jump in and be like, the bull case for it is like agents trading with one another on chain, agents being used in prediction markets, like the piece that Vitalik put out about fucking essentially using agents in prediction markets, where it's like you can make markets efficient by having them like you can ask AI very small, like micro questions millions of times over. And because they aren't human, they're not working for like massive payouts. So there's none of this like incentive issue of like, in order to get something right, they need to make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They can just do it for really small profits, and you could actually have more accurate information sourcing by just looping millions of these little fucks together and having them all play for like 3 cents a pop. And you can essentially get shit, scouring the internet, finding things out and being like, hey, is this true? And then all of them competing with each other for like $8 to figure out whether or not something is going to like more likely to happen or less likely to happen, etc.
And
I think that's cool.
Yeah, that is absolutely cool. It's a function that's really easy for a thought leader to blog about, and it's much, much more
It's
difficult,
much more difficult to do.
to actually build. Yeah, like how long were we talking about friggin' prediction markets in the thought leader space? Before
Exactly.
they made Polymarket.
Exactly. So I think, yeah, it's a long way off, but I do think that, yeah, I think that your point about this being like quicker than you think, and the kind of bull posting that you're seeing from everyone being like, oh my God, these are all going to be $1 trillion coins. I still think there's a couple of months to it of like kind of close your eyes and try not to think about it for too long. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm scared that Google will release something that's like, have any of you people played with Notebook LM?
Nope.
I've barely used Google efficiently, man.
Yeah, that's fine. So Notebook LM was the breakout AI product for this year, and basically what you can do is you can get a bunch of PDFs, chuck it into this AI machine, and it creates a summarization of like say 15 different physics textbooks or whatever.
Oh,
and then there's another function that allows you to create a 3-minute generated podcast based on that information. So that was the big product for this year. And I'm concerned that Google will create something like that in the AI agent space over the next 6 months, to the level of like everyone sees it and immediately recognizes how powerful and cool it is, and it makes AI 16Z look like a fucking children's toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pray our crypto users aren't that switched on.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing about crypto.
In the interest of time, Miffy, did you need to jump off?
I did have to jump off. I wanted to say thank you to boys for having me on and chatting around. But yeah, I do got to jump off. I'll talk to you boys soon.
Sounds good to
Easy,
me.
Thanks for joining us, Miffy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
good to
guys.
have you on.
Take it easy.
See you, legend.
Yeah,
Who
bro.
did we get up to? We
Even relevant in the space. It's
It's
phenomenal.
like XRP. It's a cult. It's like
Amazing. Truly
Yeah.
amazing. Did you see the
It's actually incredible.
The smoking cigar video from Christmas?
That
Like,
was my
he's-
spam response to things. If people ask me how I was doing, I was like, Merry Christmas, bam.
He is one of the best marketers. Like, because
I
Ripple's
agree.
got a whole foundation behind it. Cardano is just like Charles, just posting through it for a decade. Fantastic.
It's not crazy how they can scam so many people so efficiently.
It's quite impressive. It's unknown levels of grift. But yeah, Sui, like I think even just playing catch up trade to Cardano and just hitting like a clean double is like not insane if like, you know, you just get some momentum traders getting behind retail and being like, fuck it, all right. Like I'm literally
chain
saw it with
pops off.
XRP of just like Korea being like, all right.
So the point that I was the point that I was making with Avalanche, right, is that it hit 30 billion market cap at the Pico top of last cycle. The space was much smaller back then, but it was a similar sort of trade. It wasn't ever the dominant L1. It was just another L1 that you can go to stuff around with. Let's assume that Solana does a 2x from here. I don't think it's unreasonable for Sui to capture some amount of the sort of spillover from Solana adjacent stuff and go with it as a base token. And then I think that you still have a bunch of, DEX tokens, liquidity provider, not liquidity provider, what's Jupiter called? An aggregator?
Yeah.
Yep.
All of that base infrastructure stuff, those all exist on Sui already. There's a Aave competitor, whatever. There's tokens for all of them. None of them are worth freaking anything. I don't think any of them have hit $1 billion for any of the infra yet. I think there's opportunity there. I just see it as one area that, like you said, if your mate's starting to look at Sui because he's missed the Solana trade, I think there's some signal in that.
Yeah, true. Guys, we still have some predictions to get to. Who wants to take it? 1L, Sticks, Swiss.
Let's go 1L because he was
what are we
cleaning the
feeling
carpet
for-
before. Let's go 1L.
Yeah, holy shit. I'm actually devastated. My predictions for next year. Look, I've been deliberating on this quite a lot. Because I feel like next year we're in like two camps. It's like the absolute certainty that things are going to do well because the president invested supportive of everything.
I'm sorry to interrupt. 1L. Is there like a vacuum cleaner on?
Yeah, sorry, there is a vacuum cleaner on. My bad. Sorry. Look, if I'm gonna predict anything for next year, now she's just
At least it's not chips this time.
No, it's not chips. We're not doing a potato chips episode. We're doing a vacuum cleaner episode. It's my
The
wonderful
chips,
girlfriend
man.
sorting out the house because I'm like, what the fuck. No. So next year, I think the situation around how long the cycle goes will be the hardest part because I feel like there's a large camp of people that are thinking like Q1 is it, and like from a chart perspective, like you really wouldn't want to see anything below like 80k, 70k, for it to look any sort of like bullish, but like if you use like the that halving tracker count as like an indicator, relative to where we are in the halving cycle, like we're probably in the later stages. Like we're in comparison to last cycle, we're probably around the end of January period of 2021. So like it was close to the actual top, what I define as the actual top, in 2021. But if you do the timing based thing, like the top being in November 21, then like we shouldn't theoretically top until October. And I find it really hard to think that we'll get any sort of like back to back 10 months of like up only price action. But that could just be like PTSD on my part as well. So like I'm probably more in the camp of the Q1, like sell in May, March, walk away crowd. But I also feel like that's being severely oversubscribed to at the moment. And selling in May and walking away has worked for the last 4 years, 5 years. And it would be hilarious if this time was different. So that would be one prediction. My other prediction would be that it will be a lot harder for first cyclers and second cyclers to allocate, because what I feel like's happening now is like what happened when I first joined in crypto, which was I was new and I was adaptable, but I joined in realistically in the later stage of the first cycle. So around like I actually got outside of Bitcoin in like May. So I call my cycle to really start from like May onwards, and that was really towards the end. And so if I was to apply that to now, then a lot of the people that I saw in the previous cycle that were like, oh, alt season's coming, this is going to happen next, blah, 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 they were all so wrong, because they had all of their previous experience and then they were picking what was going to happen next. And then like stuff like Solana, AVAX, all of that pumped and went off. But it caught a lot of people sidelined, which is why it pumped. And so I feel like the last 2-3 years, like if you stuck around, you either got fucked over by fully allocating to ETH and missing the Solana trade and the Solana cycle, and then now if we continue to get a pump, everyone's subscribed to the Solana trade now, so like the Solana people are going to get fucked. So and being an allocator is going to be a lot more required in order to pick your picks, and understanding the fundamentals of the picks, because I feel like we've drummed into people's heads for the last 12 months that fundamentals don't matter and you buy memes, and I feel like fundamentals might actually matter again, and it'll be harder. It'll be so much harder for people to allocate, because they will have this like drummed into their head because they had so much success with it over the last 12 months. And most of the kids that are doing it now are like, oh, memes only matter. So they don't even understand how half the shit works. And I think a lot of those guys are going to get burnt, and they're not going to realize until too late.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
Well,
yeah,
no,
that's
can I
a hot
ask you?
take.
Well, can I ask you a question about your cycle thesis? So we almost saw 4 trillion in total crypto market cap a couple of months ago, at the top, and it's now like 3.7 or something. Where do you think that the peak of the total crypto market cap is for this cycle? How much
Ooh.
juice do you think is left in the lemon? If we're benchmarking to 4 trillion a month ago or whatever, how much do you think is left?
Well, total 3 hit what, 1.16 at its highs recently, and I think it's probably going to be more Bitcoin cycle than anything else. So I feel like if you looked at total crypto market cap, like the Bitcoin be the largest driver, but excluding Bitcoin, I struggle to see crypto hitting any more than like 2 to 3 trillion, if I'm being honest.
Interesting.
Just
Yeah.
because like
I can't even see it going over
yeah, I can't see it going over 2.
two.
Is this without BTC and ETH?
Yeah,
Just
without
total
BTC
3?
and ETH. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without BTC
I can't even
and
see it
ETH,
going over 2. No chance,
yeah,
I don't think.
I just don't see it. I just don't see
1.5
there being enough
max, I think.
capital to justify that. Like without interest rates being at
I think there's enough
0.
capital. I just don't think people are going to allocate to
No, well, like
dog shit.
yeah, exactly.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, like
interest rates
for
being
easy,
at, like,
cheap
near 0.
capital, they
Yeah.
probably will allocate to dog shit. I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just don't see it personally.
Yeah.
How does your math change if we get to Q3 and there's an ETF for Solana, Ripple, Litecoin?
Yeah, I sell everything.
I think that's bearish, if anything. Yeah, I agree.
You think that's bearish?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't see
so.
I don't see funds pouring money into those ever. Like, I just can't. I can see them pouring money into like BTC and like maybe Ethereum, which they like slowly have been, but like there's no chance they're gonna be buying like if half the funds can't even like wrap their head around Bitcoin, like why the fuck are they gonna buy like the
Solana,
10th L1 derivative?
You sell.
Like without the S&P and Nasdaq being at like some sort of ridiculous valuations at the same time, I struggle to see it.
Yeah.
Because like,
Oh yeah, no, my base case is Nasdaq 69,000 as well. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like crypto rallies alone. I'm saying everything to the fucking moon at some point.
Yeah. I think it's
I think
a
sell
relative
into the
valuation
hype
trade.
of
Like, I think that's the way you've always got to frame it. Like, you can't have crypto being at 2 to 3, 4 trillion outside of BTC and ETH without the Nasdaq and S&P being so much higher. And then, if that's the case, you've got to really ask yourself: is the risk-adjusted return worth it? Because like if you see Nasdaq being at like 69 or something like that, right? Then that's like a 3x from here. So it's like, do you want the 3x from the Nasdaq, which is likely to not give you much drawdown, or do you want to do you want to try and
it's like real
risk something on crypto, which like obviously is worth the risk for a lot of the case, but like at some point in time it just becomes ridiculous. So I feel like if crypto total market cap outside BTC and ETH rallies without those two rallying ridiculously at the same time, then the relative valuation trade becomes more overheated, and then at that point you've really got to start saying to yourself, this is stupid, but I just can't see it. And maybe that's just me being wrong, but there's only so much money in the world. It's a physics problem at that point.
I agree with that thesis. At least like the framework for that thesis. I think that the wild card that people aren't starting to think about yet is like major dollar and yuan devaluation.
And I think at that point we've probably got bigger problems.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I think if you are allocated to risk assets at that time, it's probably like the wise thing to do. And I think that crypto natives are generally more attuned to that sort of stuff than the average participant. So you like what I worry about, like from a social perspective, is that you end up with two camps of people, and then it's like the camp that like was risk on with their money and investment allocations or gambling or whatever, and then there's the camp of people that weren't. And if crypto goes to much higher vals, then you end up with this like weird split in society where there was the people that were early and then the people that weren't. And I can't imagine a world where all of us got rich and then they didn't. And
I can't imagine a world where CT got like collectively rich.
Yeah, that's the part that I struggle with in my head. I always try and think about it like, okay, all of us are a group of people and we get rich. These people didn't, and we're a very small group of people. And at some point we get too rich. And if we got too rich, then, you know, what happens to society at that point in time? Like it's a struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that like that's definitely a question to ask around those sorts of scenarios. I don't know that it's like invalidating. I don't know that just because
No, I agreed.
fuck up society a little bit. But also I think like we've seen the example of that with the wage dispersion between like San Francisco and New York workers compared to the people in Illinois. Like we've already seen that for a decade.
But also, isn't that just because like the cost of living and the like innovation in those cities is much higher? Would you argue?
Yeah, but
correct. It'd be no different to like a city and a regional town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like, there's a reason why like the wages are higher. Wouldn't you argue?
and so if we're transposing that across to crypto, the reason that the wealth is higher is that we chose a better money.
That's
true.
fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
But also, would you argue like, say they release like, say hypothetically, like there's talks of like actually releasing like all these ETFs of like, you know, all the L1s or whatever, like XRP, Solana, like even like SUI, whatever, like whatever you want. Like, I just can't see how, like, there'd just be too many insiders that make too much money, if that makes sense. Like, they would actually, well, it's hard to visualize TradFi like just bidding all of these and then like all these insiders just like walking away with like a lot. I can understand it with like with Bitcoin and like people buying, they've tried buying our bags of Bitcoin because it's been like it's been like 15 years of just like Bitcoin, and like they're just starting to sort of like see ETH, like the flows are high. I don't know. I just can't see these like L1s unless there's like a full like, as one else said, like
my only
interest rate
argument with
did-
that sticks is like Bitcoin is like obviously the most underallocated to crypto participant asset. You probably agree with me on that one.
Yeah.
Whereas like ETH,
For CT it is, yeah.
yeah, ETH would still be quite overly subscribed to a degree within the
Yeah.
industry.
Ethan like
So-
shitcoin, Ethan like alt L1s are like
Yeah.
probably the most
So
overheld.
so if ETH caught bid from TradFi at some point,
Then everyone will
and
get rich.
then everyone gets rich, and then therefore, but then when people get rich, they tend to speculate because they want to, double their money or triple their money or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So an ETH pump always leads to, like the biggest thing that could happen to crypto, honestly, like, and for it to actually go up a lot, is for ETH to break 4K. Like if ETH breaks 4K and starts actually going for a run, then like it's the super cycle. Like it is the crypto pump that we are sort of all waiting for, because that's what then rotates back down into the L1s and everything. But without the ETH pump, I just like I can see a Bitcoin pump that's just like a consecutive like back to back to back, but that money doesn't rotate out. But the ETH pump is that ends up the whole space grow.
I fundamentally think we haven't seen the like magnitudinal shift that we saw in other cycles yet.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
I agree.
And
But do you reckon that's just because like I mean it's a meme of just saying like diminishing returns, but like crypto is like way bigger now? Is that like
it's way bigger, but I also think like the dumb retail that showed up to lose their money on FTX hasn't shown up yet. They're still scared. And I think that if we get like, let's just pretend that Bitcoin does another 50% in the next 6 months. I think you start to get to the point where Bloomberg's no longer telling people, oh, this is a risky asset. They're just like, this needs to be in everyone's portfolio. And I think at that point, your dad is buying at 3%.
Yeah, but also like, do you reckon it's difficult? Like, I was about to say this as my like prediction thing. I actually think it's like really difficult if you are coming into crypto in the last like, even honestly, I'm saying this unless you like really dug deep in the trenches, like the last like 6 to 8 months, if you were in crypto and you weren't buying like just DCAing BTC or whatever, like, and you're gonna hold it forever, like I would find it like super difficult to make money in crypto right now. As like a new participant. Like I can't see how like compared to previous cycles where like you could have just bid anything on like a SEX, on like centralized exchange. And like if you were like somewhat early, you would have made money. But here it's like you bid the AI coins like FET, like freaking whatever when they were pumping, like you got wrecked if you didn't sell. You bid like memes, you got wrecked if you didn't sell. Like it's sort of just like feels like it's so like it's really rotational and like really specific at specific times of this cycle what coins pump, and you got to be like super aware, and didn't feel like that last cycle.
I agree with you. We haven't had the easy mode. Everyone gets rich.
Yeah, PvE, yeah.
But at the same time, like, did any sex token in the last 3 months and you're up 4x, 5x, like anything other than Bitcoin, ETH, any of the non-majors, like friggin' we've got Ripple granddad billionaires retiring.
Yeah. I was about to mention that as like the one that actually did do really well. Yeah.
So like I don't know if Ripple does another 4x from here, it's gonna be really hard to keep saying, "Oh no, this is all risky and speculative." There's gonna just be people piling in the doors.
That's true. Good point.
What about you, Sticks? What are your predictions for 2025? What have you been feeling, thinking?
I have like similar thoughts to 1L. I think as I was just saying, then I think it's gonna be like a lot harder for like people to make money than last cycle, even though like there is like easily ways to make like $1 million if you're just super locked in. Like if you were in the trenches, if you were like early to things, like yeah, obviously as always, if you're early to things, you could have made like a lot of money. But I think for me personally, I'm just gonna like treat it like a normal cycle. I can't really be bothered like trying to speculate, because what I like tend to realize is people will, like, it happened last year. Sorry, it happened this year, where people will like know that they should like sell in May or whatever, or sell in April or whatever it is, because like price is so good at that time, people just like get so delusional about it and they just never sell. And like I feel like the same thing's gonna happen. And like we say it every year. And I think, yeah, I think maybe like the first few weeks might be a bit shady, and then I think maybe after the Trump inauguration, I feel like we'll get a nice pump. I think it'll just be similar to a normal cycle where yeah, we sell off in April, May, whatever. But like good price action going into that.
Yeah, we're literally about to
Um,
give the fucking White House like to
Yeah, I
a
mean
bunch
it's
of
like
degenerate gamblers. So I'm like,
yeah, like it
nah.
seems too obvious, but like I think it's just gonna be that obvious. I don't really know past like my prediction is like yeah, I think we'll go up and then May April sell off like as normal crypto seasonality is. But yeah, I don't really know much after that. I'll have to sort of just like take a breather if I'm correct about what is happening and figure out what's next. But yeah, if I'll try to if it does go up a lot, I'll try to sell a lot of my bags around then. But yeah,
Yeah.
most people, as I said, myself included, in earlier this year, got caught off guard with that one. So yeah, gotta be
Swiss. How about you,
yeah,
man?
Swiss. What about you?
What are you feeling for 2025?
Got some notes here. A few dot points.
Lovely.
I think we're kind of lucky that people are talking about the cycle in terms of trying to play it in the sense of like 4 years and whatnot. So talking about when alts are supposed to rip versus when BTC is supposed to top out. I think a good common place to start is how people think selling in May is when we should be walking away. It kind of like I've heard this from multiple people from different sort of areas of crypto, within crypto and outside of crypto. Basically, I just think that if you're in a position to apply disciplined frameworks, you'll probably come out better than most. So, like, just looking to make sure that you secure profits on all of your trades, regardless of where we are in the cycle, will probably do a lot better. I still think there will be good signs to get out of the market of everything and good signs to get in the market of everything. I just don't think that. I think the time horizon and time frames are going to get a little bit harder to trade. I think for majors, we'll more or less get the same as what we did this year as next year, unless it's invalidated. We just go vertical in like the first half of the year. I think the industry becomes investable, which means different type of investors are allocated differently rather than cyclically, especially
That's so
looking at
funny.
stablecoin inflows. So if you look at stablecoin inflows, they didn't really drop off too much when they reached their peaks and have been slowly ticking up since. I think the understanding of crypto can still increase. So, like for example, we know that Ethereum and Bitcoin are on different chains. However, the average person probably just sees two different stocks in their trading account and doesn't really think any further than that. So I think the education around what you can actually do within crypto probably increases. I think infra, so I'd be surprised if the likes of like Stables and Infinix don't get an uptick in users with that new knowledge attached. I think last cycle was 0 to 1 in terms of understanding what crypto is. I think this cycle might be 1 to 2. So getting staking yield, stablecoin yield, or Bitcoin yield or whatever, I think we'll see that continue to uptick when people realize that they can get more than 4% a year, especially if they're Pacific Peso is going to zero. I think that's a good point, actually. I think the access to stable coins is generally going to be sought after, given how shit our dollar is doing and how shit everyone else's dollar is doing against the US dollar. I think fee switching will make DeFi investable, hopefully. I think AI probably does something. I don't know really what that looks like. I think I've heard gaming a few times. I've got some people that are pretty bullish on the likes of Prime. I don't know if the best trade is to just play whatever game that comes out or to invest in whatever token NFT or whatever is on the market to invest in. I think Bitcoin Eco only because if Bitcoin becomes stable and investable, doesn't feel as scammy, I think that would attract people to then be open to the idea of actually using their coin on chain. So yeah, that's my dot points. So nothing too saucy, I guess. I did have Sui flipping Cardano, but since we talked about it so much, I decided to remove that off.
So
Nice.
you're in Team Sui can go much higher, or Cardano go
I mean,
to the toilet.
I'm probably not as bullish on anything outside of Ethereum anymore. I
Yeah.
think Solana is really the flagship that everyone needs to probably watch. I think BNB, I don't know if like CZ owns like more than 50% of BNB, and that's why it's been able to keep lockstep with most majors. But
Yes, it is.
if Sol goes to zero or starts to become a terrible performer, I've talked with Tom about this, so I won't try and ramble on. But basically, you kind of need the things that did really well and attracted a lot of the retail users, specifically with like meme coin investing and stuff like that. If that layer one starts to perform terribly, I don't see how another layer one that is offering again, I don't know the differences, but offering something that is like kind of the same but fresher as a means to get more people on board. Like I think Phantom has done a lot to get people on board. I think airdrops, I think Pump.Fun, all of these things that have kind of been uh, publicly known throughout the Sol ecosystem have done a very good job to get Sol on the radar, especially considering you need to buy the Sol token to actually participate in a lot of this stuff. I think that if like Sol performs badly and like goes to like sub 100, I just don't think that's too good for any other alt L1 in my opinion.
Totally agree with you there. I think I think if Sol gets down below 150, I think it's time to seriously start thinking about like go to stables, hibernate for a few,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
go back to work at the botlo.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I was like, if Sol goes to 150 and it's time to load up a turbo long? This is how damaged I am from this, man. I'm
but yeah,
like,
that's
free money, let's go.
I also think
What?
my other fringe bet is that NFTs are more investable than L1s because I
Yeah,
think
I
that they
agree.
carry more cultural significance, for lack of a better term. Because I think if everyone has a hard look at how they interact with crypto, I think everyone can realize that they have up to like 7 wallets, 12 laptops. Like they just have a tremendous amount of like additional infra to support like general OPSEC, but also the ability to participate in a lot of these chains and stuff. I still think NFTs were kind of good for retail because it actually made people realize that they can like participate at room temperature IQ without having to like try and understand the white paper of two identical products that are trying to achieve a similar goal. And so I think that I've actually started buying Solana inscriptions
Oh my
as like
god.
a
What?
hedge for
Really?
this.
The
Yeah, I
hedge for
started
what?
Swiss.
as a hedge for like the value on that chain for culturally significant periods of time become more valuable than the base layer token.
You know that Mad Lads exist, right?
Yeah, but like, why would I want a Mad Lads when I can get a sub 1,000 Solana inscription of something that I think is prominent of that period of time.
Listen, Swiss, I won't judge you, man. I stayed up to like 1 a.m. buying tier inscriptions at one point. So let's just.
I I barely understand all the words in that sentence, is why you probably don't want to own those things. Like, there's 15 people in the world that care about what number sat you own in Bitcoin inscriptions. I would be amazed if there's more than just you that cares about a Solana inscription, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible pet project because I think that even if it takes a decade to be right, I still think I would have missed 10,000 opportunities to make better returns. I just like it as an additional idea for the fact that I don't use a lot of these chains, but they do have, like, I bought Lunar NFTs the other day, the ones that Do Kwon had as his profile picture in that period of time where he had that cult following, because I think that's more culturally significant than the chain that is now in like shatters. So
That
I
one
just
makes
think,
sense to me.
yeah. So like there is the Solana inscriptions are probably not at the top of my radar, but ones that piqued my interest to see what was on there. So like there is a Solana inscription that just has Sam Bankman-Fried's face on it. And it's like a sub 1,000 inscription. Now, guarantee that people don't really care about a particular number in an order on something as trivial as inscriptions. But I would see that being a way to have some sort of ownership in a period of time that was related to the chain of which he was behind. And so I don't think everyone thinks this way. I think it's a very autistic way of thinking.
It's
Um,
super autistic, yeah.
but I think it's a fun way to do these sort of things. Like I messaged a Discord recently because I was trying to buy a sub 10k Ether inscription, and none of them are listed. Neither are the sub 1,000k.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty autistic as well. So this is what I
Yeah.
do when I'm like maxed out my resources of like brain power, and I just want to go down these different paths. But
Yeah.
I think like if you go to chains like BNB or Dot or Atom or Tier or anything like that, all of these chains are probably not going to be used in whatever infrastructure that caters to like the big four chains. But the culturally significant NFTs that were around at that period of time would probably be a little bit more sought after because it's a snapshot into a period of history, even though the history was like last week in crypto
Yeah.
terms. But yeah.
Yeah. So for a brief period we did a Bitcoin like Bitcoin layer 2 inscription, whatever other nonsense that was happening in the bear market. So like I covered inscriptions when they were created. We did a show that week,
Yeah.
and covered that whole frenzy. The way that I am thinking about it is that, similar to other collectibles, the thing that makes collectibles valuable is nostalgia, not history. So my thesis around it is that the NFTs that people can remember owning or remember wanting to buy and couldn't afford or whatever, those things are going to be valuable in the future when, Tom's kid brother turns 30 and he remembers that Tom owned a Bored Ape or whatever. That's the sort of stuff that's going to have a second wave of nostalgia in a decade's time. I don't think it attaches to like inscriptions of a particular date or of a particular thing. I think it's going to be, for example, the Luna NFT that you're talking about. I think that's a perfect example. Something that someone can have a definite memory associated with. But I think the inscriptions are sometimes a little bit too abstract.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. So like the palatableness of inscriptions is like disgusting. If you actually spend time looking at them, it makes you want to kill yourself because there's nothing there that really makes you think that these would be investable or sought after in the future. But you can't argue with the fact that what we saw between like inscriptions now are currently at like 70 million or maybe even 100 million. I haven't checked in a while. Um, But there was a period of time where the first 1,000 that was inscribed into the blockchain was a perfect snapshot of what developers or participants were thinking of, or like their snapshot of their understanding at that period of time onto the chain. So in itself, it is a pretty good snapshot into the window of like what people were doing in that period of time.
Are you talking about the Bitcoin ones?
Yeah, Bitcoin more specifically, not these other chains, because the other chains copied what Bitcoin did.
They
like-
always felt like graffiti to me rather than anything particularly profound.
Yeah, so
Go on.
so I think the way that I look at it, and it might not be the best way, is if you look at the Bored Apes, why would they do 10,000 PFPs?
To basically to copy the way that other collectibles.
Correct. Yeah, and so the originality is, I guess, there, but it's not there. So like, there's no artist that's heading up the first amount of inscriptions on BTC saying, no, we need to make it look like art because, you know, this is going to be the interpretation of what we perceive art is. It's basically, in my opinion, just a brutal snapshot of like Bitcoin internet culture at that period of time. And there's nothing really appealing about it apart from the fact that like you can look through the fact that it's graffiti or art, and you can just settle on the fact that it's just a genuine snapshot of what was occurring on the chain at that particular time. That's why a lot of the sub 1,000 inscriptions, many of them sell for like multiple BTC, and they also get listed at a lot of these auction houses. I don't know necessarily if that's fair, like they're all being bought and sold legitimately, if there's any wash trading, but I just think that there is a larger. I think now more than ever, especially with a lot of saturation around competitiveness for analyzing like trends and narratives and things like that, the ability to be early diminishes, especially with a lot of the institutions coming in. I still think that NFTs have a better investable upside for longer term investing for a lot of these reasons that you can kind of project into the future. Like,
Yeah.
I believe that the sub 10K, sub 1K, I reckon there's projects in there that will sell for like 8 figures. There's
Yeah,
only a matter of time.
I agree with you for Bitcoin. For low number Bitcoin inscriptions, I don't think it translates to like rare sats or whatever that craze was. I don't think it translates to other chains. I think that it's more about nostalgia for stuff that you wanted to buy at the time. Like, I would love to have a sub 1,000 BTC inscription because I remember it happening and I wish that I had have bought one then. I am just finding out that there are inscriptions on Solana today from you. I'm not sure that anyone's going to have any nostalgia for those. So I would much rather
That's
own a PFP that people remember and was on Jimmy Kimmel's show or anything that there's some level of nostalgia likely to bubble up in a decade's time.
Yeah,
I think
that's fair.
I think the one thing that I could like, because I probably agree with you there that it doesn't make sense for the other chains, but where I think the narrative probably could pop up if it was to pop up is the moment BTC has its inscriptions, you know, sub 1,000 cycle, like when those things do inevitably go for that, you know, 8-figure like sort of stupid amount of money sort of sales. When that happens, people, just like with memes or with any other sort of AI, whatever you want to call it, people go, all right, this is selling for a lot of money. Let's go and find that on the other chains.
The data.
And
Right.
so at that point in time, there will be that, and because that amount of money is flowing around, if you're someone like Swiss who has balls of steel and can hold some of these things for like years on end, and he would have paid fucking no money for them. Like, he would have been so fucking early to it that like when that inevitably comes, it's just like bang, I can sell this. And I was, you know, way ahead of the curve of this. Whereas like you probably see that happen at that one point in time. So it's like it's a very actionable trade thesis, but it's just a long term time horizon trade thesis. But
So
like I think it does work.
All right,
It's
bros.
the
One sec. I got to. I got up at real early this morning, so I'm gonna have to jump off.
No
Scott
worries, bro.
was sick.
Yeah.
I'm cooked. My eyes are
Cheers.
closing at the computer. I'm like, okay. All right, bros. It's been
Good to
good.
see you, man.
Catch you, gents. Enjoy.
See you,
Peace.
Thomas.
Cheers, man. So it's like knowing that there will inevitably be a Michael Jordan signed game ball that sells for $1 billion.
Yep.
At some time in the next decade or 2 decades, whatever, you know that that's likely to happen, and that will be on every newspaper in the world. And so you start buying up all the Michael Jordan jock straps that you can find.
Yeah.
And then it's the question of like, is that an actually useful trade to do, knowing that you can probably get 100x off of a Michael Jordan jock strap? Is that what you actually want to be doing with your time and whatever?
I think the thing that makes it more interesting outside of others is, unlike with memes where you can always like, you know, release another meme coin, or you can always release another token for something else. The inscription trade, because it's a time based thing, that i.e. you have to have done it early enough, and it's not like you can suddenly create something that's more early because of the way blockchains work, obviously. So therefore, if you are early to the trade, genuinely be early to the trade, whereas it's not like art dependent or idea dependent, like a meme dependent or whatever else it may be. It's just simply because it has that mechanism like baked into it, because it's a time based thing. It probably makes it a lot cleaner. And I like, it's not something I probably do myself, but I can see how you can cut that into something that's like digestible, and because the capital that you'd need to invest in it's probably fairly low. I'd like to think. I don't think Solana inscriptions are selling for, you know, tens of sols.
I hope you're not.
They haven't had
for
volume
serious
in
money.
months. Yeah.
No. But it's one of those things, like if you bought it and you would have paid like nothing for it, like the moment that BTC thing comes up, it's just like, boom, there's money in my account. Thank you very much. I thought of this. Well,
I think Solana inscriptions will be valuable if the chain's dead. Like, that's my general thesis. So, like, this will never get realized even if BTC has a pump, or ordinals or inscriptions on BTC have a pump. Like, I just think that it's my hedge against the fact that this chain dies, because there's a lot of dumb shit on this chain that might be culturally significant in the future.
One of the most interesting things about it is that we're not even, this cycle in particular, we're not even like thinking about the idea that all of this stuff goes away and nothing is culturally significant. Like, that's just not even a question in our minds anymore.
That's true.
Well, Luna was, I think. Luna was or is. But yeah, we'll see. Like, I think this is why like ordinals in general over time will just become more and more valuable. If you can like picture a period of time where BTC trades like gold.
But do you reckon ordinals? Do you reckon ordinals? Like, I agree with like NFTs being more valuable, but do you think ordinals will be, because like NFTs were before ordinals, if that makes sense? And I know they're on B2C, but like no B2C maxis are gonna buy.
Well, this is where the variation of rare sats, inscription numbers, all of these things that built into the token standard of BTC start to shine as like a collector's sort of wet dream, because all of these factors become a reason to buy certain things. So I think that NFTs in itself will probably have a larger market share because of their utility component with it. So like gaming, ticketing.
But I'd also argue like NFTs have more significance because they were first. Like they were before ordinals.
Technically, yes and no. Like the inscription protocol is different to the NFTs, because the NFTs
But like
basically
culturally, like everyone knows, like everyone, like I would argue as well, like if BTC maxis start actually participating in the ecosystem, like the ordinals will be worth like $1 million per ordinal. Like the main
There are some. The
Yeah.
main ones.
That's a
Yeah,
good
but
point.
like
Like, I don't really have a
BTC
response to
maxis,
that. Yeah.
BTC maxis like haven't. They don't want to sell their Bitcoin. Like they don't want to. They Some of them think it's like poison. But like I'm saying, if they do, ordinals will be worth, because Bitcoiners are so rich. Ordinals will be worth like heaps more than NFTs.
Yeah, well, they're not buying node monks
Well, I know
or
that.
whatever other
Or
garbage is on
puppets, yeah.
the front. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I do think you have a strong argument there. I think it depends what NFTs you're purchasing. If you're buying
Yeah,
NFTs
that's true.
that have like their image posted to a URL on some server that they don't end up paying, so all you get like is a blank 404 in the future, then I don't think that that is necessarily sought after. But I'd buy V1 punks for their cultural significance that they have in the ecosystem. So I think that ETH NFTs and ordinals are in the same category. I just think that they will both do well. I don't think that like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs are going to come back because they were
Well, no,
nostalgic.
I
Because
don't think.
everyone
Yeah,
heard
I
of
mean,
them.
if they go full extractive mode, like it's pretty hard to come back from
Yeah.
that. But
I
yeah,
think with Bored Apes, my thesis would be more around the culturally significant ones. So like the Snoop Dogg ape, the Eminem ape, the Jimmy Kimmel ape. I
yeah.
think those will have some lasting nostalgia for someone that will always keep them trading at
I
quite a
feel like it'll
significant
be
premium.
like super, like it'll be like a super long trade for these type of things.
Yeah.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, like OG ones, like they're 20 years old. Like this could be just like a super long trade, and it could be worth like a fuck ton in about 10 years time plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably take time.
Yeah. Anyway, like we're probably too soon to even
That's
see
what I
what
mean.
comes of
We're
this.
so
But
early.
I made a post
If you,
about it ages ago, and I just said if you just start now and looking for things that you think are more culturally significant while the attention's not there, I think you have like a better chance at upside.
Well, like that Soul inscription one, like as I agree with like both sides where like yeah, like I don't see them like being culturally significant, but then also the price point of them is so cheap, and then obviously if people start buying Bitcoin ones, yeah, it's like so the R&R is like quite good because like you're spending no money on them, and like the trade could be there one day, like and it could go for like a fuckload.
yeah,
So
I like
I
those
think
trades a lot better at 100 than 1,000.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like because of the price point, it's like so enticing to a point where like you could hold it for like 5 years and like it wouldn't even matter. But then like the day it goes up, it's like yeah, sweet, because like the price point was so low. So like it's yeah, I agree. Like it's good finding like ones like that because like they're so cheap.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to raise one other, if everyone's still gonna hang on for
Yeah.
another 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'll stay for another 10.
I wanted to raise one other thing that came up while I was prepping end of year shows for the podcast. So, like thinking through how this cycle works and whatever, one of the things that really struck me is that we've never actually seen a cycle where crypto firms can just walk into a bank and open a bank account, and that's not a weird thing to be able to do. We haven't seen a cycle where the major banks are able to issue stable coins. We haven't seen a cycle where the major financial institutions are able to offer like packaged basis trades as a financial product. All of those like really basic financial infrastructure things that seem likely to get built in the next year or two. I don't know. Like personally, I think that changes the cycle dramatically, and that's what I'm basing my like maybe we have another order of magnitude left in this cycle idea would come from partly. But yeah, I think it's just worth keeping in mind that like FTX couldn't get banking. That was a big part of the last cycle. They couldn't get banking, and then they had to go to Signature and Silvergate and get them to set up their dodgy little stablecoin thing. And I think this cycle we're going to just see like JP Morgan offering stablecoins on Ethereum and on whatever other blockchains they do, and you can just walk into a bank and get a bank account as a startup. You can accept checks from Singapore, and that's not weird. All sorts of that basic financial stuff. And I think we imagined that was normal last cycle, but it really wasn't. No one was able to do normal banking other than like Coinbase. And I think we just haven't really priced in the idea of like this stuff is just going to be a bit normal and you won't risk going to jail for just doing normal things in the industry.
That makes
Does that
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
does that change the way you think about this cycle?
Hmm.
A little bit, yeah. Like, I mean, if that actually does happen, it would change a lot of things.
Yeah.
But also, it would change my opinion on like Bitcoin and stablecoins, but like it wouldn't change my opinion on altcoins, if that makes sense. Like, I would still treat altcoins as like scams. Like you always.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
It would change my like I mean, actually,
So-
it wouldn't even
so
change my
Sticks,
long-term opinion
do-
on
do-
Bitcoin because I
on-
have the same opinion.
How far do you like brush that altcoin spectrum when you say that?
Well, like I'm semi-delusional. But I'm not like extremely delusional. So like I will never hold a coin and make like $1 million on it, if that makes sense.
But like, so for L1s, like let's say
actually that
ETH,
I don't know. Maybe I was going to do that with
etc.
PopCap, but yeah.
Yeah. But like for L1s, right? Like so,
Yeah.
like you need a token in order for those L1s to work, right? Otherwise,
Well,
the
yeah.
chains don't function.
This is where like
So like there's an
I'd say
element
all
of
these are a
scam,
but
yeah.
like Solana, BNB, like none of them are like going to zero, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like 0.000.
Yeah, there's
Like I mean,
there's a
Solana nearly
certain
good, but
value.
like now,
Yeah,
at
there's
least.
a certain value at which they like need to maintain, otherwise the chain just doesn't work. But yeah,
That's
I
the
agree.
thing, yeah. But like my more premise was like I would treat them as cycle trades, and like obviously Solana would be like probably here, obviously, and it could
Be
do
like
well
a
next
tech
cycle.
stock almost, right?
Yeah, like a tech stock that I'm like willing to just trade for the cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like I would look to sell it, and whereas like something like Bitcoin, if I was like DCAing it just like forever and I was working a job, I like would never look to sell it at this point with how much TradFi actually likes Bitcoin after what I've observed. Because I was like semi wrong being like more bullish ETH. And like it could change, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at the moment, TradFi likes Bitcoin.
I think like if banks are willing to work with like my thesis originally on crypto was around the clunkiness of the banking systems, and like it wasn't so much around the devaluation of currency. It was just around like when you want to do any sort of bank transfers, international transfers, like crypto is just so much better than any other platform that we've got. And then when you extrapolate that out a bit more in terms of like understanding how the plumbing in the financial systems work with T+2 settlement on stock trades and like clearing houses, and there's like these multi-billion trillion-dollar industries that are just brokers and middlemen, and crypto essentially
collecting fees.
And like they're very minor fees but on large volumes. So like crypto essentially, in theory is the technology to break all of that down. And the best places for that is Ethereum and Solana. Like Ethereum from a security perspective and Solana from an so like a combination of some of these things quite bullish. And the value of stablecoins on the chain is ultimately the amount of security that you need to like at least maintain of the chain in order for it to be successful. Because it breaks and you've got that many stable coins there, then you don't want that money to be evaporated. So I think if banking and crypto sort of become a lot more accepted, then those sort of things start opening up a bit more, and then the like I said earlier, like fundamentals start actually mattering, and then that's when you've really start starting to have to evaluate, okay, what chain is going to capture that upside, and how are they going to capture that upside? Because fees are great, but they're not the all everything. And Mev is great as well, but it's not like you shouldn't expect like through MEV fees that this token needs to be worth this sort of value. So it's how you then attribute the value to the native token, I guess, at the end. Definitely think that would change my perspective. Going back to your question.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you totally. I think the valuations of all this stuff like don't pass the sniff test at all when you start actually nailing down like how much fees and MEV are available. But purely from like a speculative point of view,
Yeah.
like just being able to clear a transfer into an exchange and then get it back out again without expecting your bank to shut your account, I think is a genuinely unique thing that's going to happen in this cycle.
For sure.
And I think we're all under indexing how dramatic that change is for normies a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it interesting as well, how the whole crypto thesis originally started as like, what both of you guys just spoke about, like, yeah, replacing the banking system. It's like a much better way of transacting internationally, and like it's still 100% is. Like I've sent people overseas money like through crypto, and it's like, oh, it's so much better. But I find it hilarious how now the whole thesis is protecting ourselves against like debasing currencies, which is like actually a really good utility in most countries now, even in like Australia, where like our dollar's gone down like over probably 10-11% like this year, or the last like 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, no, it's about 10% this year.
It's about 10%
Yeah,
since the 1st
I remember
of
it was like
October.
literally 69. Yeah, it's like it was 69 cents once. So it's like, and like obviously we're like quite a wealthy country. Like there's countries I can't even imagine what their currencies are doing right now, and it's like people like underestimate the utility of like just holding stable coins or just Bitcoin in general. And it's like, man, like to think like it's come this far, and like we used to be like a joke, and now like literally nation state currencies are like a fucking joke. It's kind of crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just makes me more bullish.
No, awesome. Good yap.
Yeah,
That was
good yap.
we had a good yap. But we'll probably should
Yeah,
off. But no, thanks for coming on, man. That was awesome. I had some
no, you get some really good points. I was
Yeah, it was
very
a
intrigued.
good time.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Hope
No,
I
No,
didn't
it was good to have you
Okay.
on, Scott. Appreciated your different opinions.
One last thing,
good.
Scott, before you go. Bitcoin all-time high for 2025. What's the number?
2025. We're going to see 250.
Nice. Cool.
250. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll
Thank
take
you.
that.
Yeah.
I'm similar
That's a
camp.
nice number.
Yeah, I think we're all dramatically not bullish enough.
Yep.
I rate that.
I agree.
I think we have lots of PTSD, and I don't think we've recognized exactly what all this stuff means.
Yeah.
Like the stuff I was talking about, banking, Trump, all sorts of just normalization of the industry stuff. I think that we've never seen it before, but we think that we have. And I think that we aren't bullish enough. Not even close.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice. I rate that a lot.
Cool. Awesome. No, we'll definitely have to have you on again, man. And we'll have
anytime.
to see how well the predictions went in a few months' time. Cool.
I'm way higher confidence on like Sui to 15 than I am Bitcoin to 50.
Interesting. All right.
I like it.
I like that. I rate it. That's a very out there prediction. It's good. Haven't heard anyone say that, so you're probably early.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
definitely no one will trade that.
Yeah.
Makes it even better.
Cool.
Cool.
Easy.
All right. Well,
right.
thanks, boys. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for the people that tuned in. We'll try and get this one at least on YouTube. I know the last 3 haven't, but no, appreciate everyone for listening in, and catch you guys in the next one. Peace.